friends, today we are going to feed my sourdough starter. I'm going to show you how to feed a sourdough starter. And so it's really easy. I know sourdough starters are very intimidating to people who have not done it before. And I just want to show you that it's not difficult. It's not hard. All you need is flour, water, a little bit of the starter, and a kitchen scale. Sometimes I don't even use a kitchen scale. You can use measuring cups. You can do however you want. I like to do a 1 part water, 1 part flour ratio to feed my starter. So if I have 25 grams of starter, I use 50 grams each of flour and water to feed it if I'm really trying to get it to activate so that I can use it the next day or later on that night if I'm doing it in the morning. I'm by no means an expert, but this is just how I do it. And it works for me, and I get great sourdough loaves. And sourdough bread feels very intimidating to many people, just like sourdough starter, taking care of it, all of that. I really only feed my starter once a day. Don't need a mixer. You don't need to knead it for 20 minutes. All it is stretch and fold and letting it sit. The hardest thing about making sourdough bread is the waiting time for letting it rise, because it does take longer. If you want to ferment it, you can ferment it in the refrigerator overnight. I have never done that. I just ferment it all day, let it do the bulk ferment on the counter all day, and then you just shape it and you put it in the oven. It's super, super easy, and I'm probably going to do a video on that soon because I'm going to be making a loaf of sourdough bread soon for my family. So I will video that and show you how simple it is. And in the meantime, let's get feeding the starter because she is hungry today. So I am going to put the new jar on my scale and tear it out so that I'm not weighing the jar. And then I'm going to pour in a little bit of my starter. And, oh, I got to put this on grams. So about 25, 26 is fine. Grams of starter. And so then I'm going to set that aside, zero this out, and then I'm going to put this container on here, zero that out. And then I'm going to start, I already milled this flour. I'm just going to measure out about 50 grams or so. My fingers are clean. So this is really, really simple. It's not hard at all. All you need is flour and water. And if you're using fresh milled flour, it's the same. You just measure out your flour and your water the same way. You will get a more active starter with fresh milled flour because it has more of the yeast. And so I've got that measured out, and then I'm going to measure out my water. So I like to use warm water when I can. So I'm going to clear this out. This is the bowl I'm actually going to mix up what I'm using to feed my starter. I mix it before I put it in the jar with the starter. So I'm going to measure 50 grams of water, 51, same difference. So, and I haven't decided if I'm going to use this starter today or not. So now I have my water measured. I'm going to pour my flour in, and I'm just going to use this little spatula, which I love, by the way. It's really great for getting into jars and small spaces. It works a lot better than a butter knife, which I used to think, oh, what's the difference? But it really does do a better job. So it looks like a paste. You can see that it's very paste-like. And so that's we're going to add to the starter. So this is how much starter I have, 25 grams. This is a pint jar, so just for reference. And all I'm going to do is take this and dump it in there like that. Here's the jar that my starter came out of. I poured most of it into my garden, and it'll do a good job out in the garden. Sometimes the chickens will come eat it. It just depends. But you don't want to pour this down the sink. And then I'm just going to stir this up and make sure that the starter is really incorporated in what I'm doing here into the new feed. And this will get the starter hopefully ready to use by tomorrow, because I just pulled it out of the refrigerator probably 3 days ago, and I've been feeding it. I really only feed once a day, and I don't have a problem with that. My starter is always fine to use, and I don't have a problem. So, and there you have it. Your starter is fed. And it's that simple when you get a new starter from someone, to just start feeding it. Now, I don't like to leave residue on the edge of the jars because it turns into glue. And then I just use the coffee filters and a rubber band. And if you leave residue on the edge of the jar, the coffee filter will stick to it and it'll tear and you'll have to use a new one. I change them every once in a while anyway, and it's easier to clean the jars afterwards. I don't like to use the same jar because it builds up and it's like cement, and then it's really hard to clean the jar. So I just mark around with a rubber band where I know, because I didn't clean the inside of the jar. So I have to estimate where the level of starter is. And then as you can see, so it's just, this is how much starter's in there. And then by this evening, it'll probably come up to about here. And when it starts doing that, I know that it's ready to use. Also, you can do the float test. I haven't done that one. But I'm gonna try it next time I use my starter just to see. And that's it. You fed your starter. Super easy. Have a great day.